Hey folks, welcome back to Ndaba Africa. Yes, I'm off the screen for the moment, but I will be appearing there in just a moment. So today we're talking to Farmers Aid South Africa, Farmers Aid SA, a worthwhile charity that helps those in need in South Africa. We have with us today Patrick, Erica, and Cole. Cole is not with us, excuse me. Patrick, Erica, and Winston Smiles is our special guest with us today. I'll have that on just a moment, bring those guys in. But I did want to put this flyer up there once again as their hunger outreach program. If you'd like to donate to them to help them out, if you have the ability to do that, please do so. You can contact Patrick, there's the number, or Erica or Cole, and they cover the Midlands in KwaZulu-Natal, Erica for Durban, and then Johannesburg North and Bryanston is Cole. So there are the banking details. I just want to bring that up very quickly. Folks, I'm going to bring in our guests now. As I mentioned, we have 3 guests on the chat tonight, and now I can't find my window here. Hang on a second. Okay, there we go. All right, there's everybody. Please turn your mics on, folks. Welcome. Let me start from below me. We have Patrick, and then we have Erica, and then we have Winston Smiles. Welcome to everybody.
Hi, Chris. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure, Patrick.
Yes, how's it?
Hey, Winston.
How's it?
Hey, Erica. Well, let's get started. Patrick, can you, first off, tell us a little bit about what we're talking about here. What is Farmers Aid South Africa, or SA? Because I don't think many people are familiar with it.
No, it isn't. We're kind of under the radar, if you can put it that way, Chris. We've been going for about the last 6 years. And when we started off, we said we want to help the white minorities in South Africa. And we stuck with it for 6 years. It was actually based on your farm aid in America. It was started by John Cougar Mellencamp, Neil Young. That got inspired, but it actually grew more. We started off with the farmers, but it grew into a humanitarian side as well. So we've got the humanitarian side and we've got the farmers side on the one side. So there's 2 divisions of Farmers Aid. It's been 6 years. It's been a very long and hard road. I think Erica knows our whole history. But we've been through quite a bit. We had a car damage because we did it to whites only. I got poisoned last year with rat tax to try to stop us. This year it was I would say 2 or 3 weeks ago it was black magic at the house where I stay. So so in a nutshell, it wasn't an easy road, but we haven't given up. We're still helping poor white people and farmers across the country. Basically in a nutshell, that's what Farmers Aid is about. It's helping our white minorities.
So Patrick, let me get this straight. Did I hear you correctly? You said that someone poisoned you with rat poison last year because you were helping people?
Yes. It happened last year. I think it was Feb, March. Because where I stay, I actually took an old gentleman in. With the area where I stayed, they actually chucked him out and he had nowhere to go. And he was close to his 80s. So I took him in, I fed him, gave him clothes. And so I said, okay, well, when I do go out to deliver food parcels, there is somebody at the house. The house is not empty. And
looks like his connection froze again. That's unfortunately going to happen periodically with the data connection that Patrick has. Hopefully he'll come back. Let's see if he is in fact frozen. Erica, so were you aware of this, Erica, that someone tried to poison Patrick? That's insane.
Yeah, I was aware of it because I was already in contact with him months before that. I got in contact with Patrick a couple of months after the farm attack. And
you said the farm attack, Erica. You're talking about the attack on your farm.
Yeah. He stays in Bulwer, which is about an hour's drive or so from where the farm was. And he was in, I got his number, and he was in constant contact with me, encouraging me, helping me, emotionally, and just to make sense of everything. I just knew he was a call away, and we become very good friends. And I've been aware of a lot of the things that's been going on. And it wasn't just that, it was other stuff as well. being blackmailed and all that. But he can actually tell you about that.
No, that's amazing. Yes, someone asked the question, Shactwell, if that's one of Erica's paintings behind her. In fact, it is one of Erica's paintings right behind her there.
Yeah.
But listen, we've also got Winston Smiles, an incredibly talented musician who seems to be in the mix when things are happening. So while we wait for Patrick to come back in there, listen, Winston. Patrick, we caught part of it. We talked to Erica. We'll get back to you in a second here. But Winston, were you aware that this happened to Patrick? Had you heard about this either, this poisoning thing?
Yeah, no, I've heard about it. I've only recently got to know Patrick, and so I wasn't there when he got poisoned, but I heard about it, and I know about the black magic also now that recently happened, and he was going through a tough time. He was going through a very, very tough time, and it's a shame that, when people try to do something good, there's always that someone there that does not want to see that happen, and they will do anything to make sure that it doesn't happen, even put people's lives at jeopardy. It's insane in South Africa. It's insane.
Well, I absolutely agree with you. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, but I will give you this, Patrick. You can claim to be in unique company. Emerson Mnangagwa himself apparently was poisoned at a county fair back when he fled from Zimbabwe and abdicated his role as vice president. So you are in good company with people trying to poison you, but that's just absolutely insane. Well, that's just crazy. Let's shift a little bit, Patrick, from that story. So what drove you to do this? I mean, now, did you start this charity yourself, the Farmers Aid South Africa? Are you the originator of it? And if so, what drove you to do that?
Well, if we have to go a little bit more back, I started in the music industry for many years. And that's where the charity work actually started. So every time we did a show, I used to take 10% of the ticket sales, and I used to give that out to people that were struggling. That's how the humanitarian side actually started. And when the music industry kind of stopped with the exchange rate, it was too high. It wasn't worthwhile getting artists down. I always had this idea of doing something for the farmers and our people on a bigger scale. And that's when I looked at Farm Aid in America, and I took to see what they were doing, and we tried to incorporate a little bit of their ideas into what we wanted to do here. And that's how Farmers Aid started. And it took us about 5 years to really get it off the ground.
So let me ask you this question real quick, Patrick. Since you're in the music promotion business, any chance you know Johan Eisel?
I don't know. No, I don't know him. We didn't do much of the secular sections. We did mostly gospel. We brought out Don Moe and Third Day and those kind of guys. And we did fashion shows and supper theaters, everything with entertainment kind of stuff.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I mentioned Johan Eisel is manager for Giselle, my favorite Afrikaans performer. So sorry, Franyu du Plessis was, but now it's Giselle. Anyway, so so listen, let's talk a little bit about this, and let me ask this question because I'm sure it's a question some people say, and let me frame this the right way so that it doesn't come off the wrong way. So why just minorities? I mean, there are lots of hungry people in South Africa. There must have been a reason to motivate you to help minorities in South Africa.
When we started off 6 years ago, we applied with the Lotto Fund for funding. We tried different other ones. We even went to a meeting with the arts and culture, and we explained to them the whole situation of how important agriculture is to South Africa, how important the farmer and his knowledge is for the food security of South Africa. And they actually laughed me out. They stopped me halfway through the meeting and said, let's be honest, let's not carry on with the meeting. If you're talking about funding for farmers and whites in South Africa, there is none available for them. So I said, well, I've tried to go the route and try and feed everybody and help everyone. You guys are not committing. So now I'm only going to commit to my own people. And I've stuck with it for 6 years.
So presumably the reason there was no funding for white people was because they're white? Is that why?
It was, they didn't even hide it or do it in a diplomatic way. They just said there's no funding for whites at all. So I'm wasting my time coming to them. And I said, no, that's fine. I said, but you will see me again. And we did have a meeting 5 years later. And they said, you're still going? And I said, I'm still going, and I'm still going to be here for many more years.
Interesting. Well, no, it is. It is an important thing. Of course, for those who watch my channel, Patrick, I talk about the plight of all minorities in South Africa. It is certainly the Afrikaner and certainly the Boer who are under assault. But in my view, coloreds, Indians are also under assault in South Africa, and it's really sad. So I was just curious if your charity helped out with those folks. But I understand the basis for doing it. That's why I asked. So listen, Erica, you got involved with Patrick in this some here, and as you mentioned, after your farm attack, is that when you first became aware of him and the charity and started participating in it?
Yes, yes, it is. And then I discovered he lived close by, and as I said, we had regular contact, and we became very, very good friends. In fact, Patrick is like family now to me.
Well, that's awesome.
And
That's awesome.
yeah.
So, Patrick, were you a farmer at some point yourself?
No, I wasn't a farmer, Chris. I did work with a lot of farmers, and I still do. I think I'm farmer at heart, but not. But I don't own a farm or work on the farm or something like that. No, never.
Well, that leads me to my next question, because we have an interesting group of people here. We have talented people when it comes to art, with Winston and Erica, and then we have people with no talent in art. That's me. And then we have, so I'm going to ask Winston this question. Winston, have you ever worked on a farm? Have you ever been a farmer, or do you have a farming family?
Yes, yeah. My uncle had a farm, so I basically grew up on a farm. So I've got plenty experience on farm and farm work and so forth. Yes, yeah.
Ah, brilliant. Now, Eric and I, of course, not everybody knows this, but we were both dairy farmers at different stages in our life. Her more recently than me. I saw the light as a youth and stopped milking cows when I went to college. It seemed like a good idea. For those who don't know, that's twice a day, whether you like it or not, 365 days a year, 7 days a week. There are no holidays. There is no respite. There is no break. You are out in that milk barn calling those cows in and milking them at 5 o'clock or 5:30, depending on your schedule. And that's what it was. So Erica's shaking her head and nodding. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. But so listen, Patrick, I would imagine that there is some sort of demand for this. You certainly see a fair number of Afrikaans-speaking South Africans who are living in squatter camps, particularly around Pretoria, to the north and west of Pretoria. But it's not the only place you see it. Is there a plight for South African farmers beyond the horrific violence that's taking place? Are people in financial jeopardy before the lockdown, I'm saying, because your charity's been around for a few years? Oops, is he locked again? It looks like he's locked again.
Looks like it.
We'll have to say, it looks like he's deep in thought, leaning forward to answer that question. It kind of threw me off. All right, so let's shift gears for a second while we get Patrick.
There he is.
He's back. Patrick, did you hear my question? No,
I think I've lost you there, Chris.
Okay, what was my question? No, my question was the following, Patrick. I was saying that let's go back before lockdown, because this isn't a new charity. You started this several years ago. I, of course, am very familiar with white squatter camps full of Afrikaans-speaking Boers who live west of Pretoria and northwest of Pretoria and places like that. I know they exist in other parts of the country too. Is there a significant need for South African farmers for assistance? Are they in financial jeopardy that so many would need this sort of help? I mean, or do you have a small clientele?
You're talking about the squatter camps, or you're talking about the farmers themselves?
Well, I'm talking about your charity, which I believe is focused on the farmers, but I just mentioned the squatter camps to point out that there are poor white South Africans. That's why I mentioned it.
Well, listen, on the farming side, it's like you mentioned in your other show before this one, you said it's strange that farmers are struggling. And they are in such a state that the farmers don't even have food for themselves. You know, although they grow for other people, they themselves don't have food in their house. And a perfect example would be that of last year when we went to Willowston. There's about 180 farmers there and about 300 or 400 workers. And we managed to raise about 235,000 rand. And we bought feed, we bought food. There was about 1,000 food parcels. And we were able to feed all the farm workers, all the farmers, and gave them feed. And some of the farmers just actually, if you see the videos, you'll actually see how they cry when they saw a truck with bales arrive. That's how desperate they are. And I think the drought has really gotten these farmers on their knees, and it's still continuing. In the Free State, they had it for 8 years, the drought, where they lost everything. I can take you, if you want South Africa, I'll take you to Free State, where a farmer doesn't even have electricity in his house now for the last 3 months. You know, never mind food. and that's the situation these farmers are in, and they're still struggling, and it's getting worse. They're not only fighting the farmer tax, but they've got the banks on their backs, they've got the land grab on their backs, farm murders that continues daily. There's not a day that we don't get reports of a farmer tax somewhere happening in the country. So and then you got the squatter camps, the white squatter camps. That in itself is a very sad case. I think when you go there, if you talk about it, people won't understand. But when you go there and you actually see the little children, and it's not, I've always said, it's not uneducated people that's sitting in the camps. I've met lawyers, I've met advocates, I've met mechanics, big business people that lost everything, that's sitting in those camps. There's a lot of experience and qualified people sitting in those camps due to circumstances. And even worse now with the lockdown. It's actually just, I would say, 100% worse than it was before the lockdown. There's a lot of people moving to the squatter camps.
No, it's and even in the best of times, I think people who've never worked the land or never been a farmer don't appreciate that. But even the best of times, being a farmer is a very difficult vocation. You've got fickle weather, and in South Africa, where only 12% of the land is arable, you've got challenges with fertilization, with rainfall, those sorts of things. But throw in top of that farm attacks, where people are being murdered, tortured, dismembered, sexually assaulted by vile criminals and syndicates and other things. That's one problem. Throw on top of that the other issues, as you mentioned, of the banks, where they're not sympathetic to farmers. And then you throw on top of that government contracts that discriminate against farmers based on their skin color. And it's a really difficult environment for farmers in South Africa, I can imagine. We've seen the number of commercial farmers decline from 68,000 in 1994 to about 28,000 today. Now, some of that's consolidation and just, one generation deciding to go to the city rather than farm. But that's quite a drop in the number of commercial farmers, and quite sad to see.
It is. I mean, I used to go to the farms. A few weeks ago, I was in the Free State, and I actually spoken to the farm workers. And if you speak to the farm workers, they'll tell you themselves they don't want farms. They don't want farms. They say it's too big. They don't know how to work it. And these are farm workers that has worked for the farmer for about 30 years. Yeah, worked for his father. Now they're working for their son. They don't want those farms. And stuff. They say all they want is a small little place where they have 2 or 3 cows, a sheep, and they can grow some mealies. That's all they want. They don't want the big farms. And there's that myth that the farmers don't look after their farm workers. They live in terrible conditions. Chris, is absolute nonsense. If you go to the Free State farmers now, they got all houses, all sun geysers, everything that they want is in that house. So that myth that they're struggling and they're living in poor conditions is just a myth. It's just a whole political thing. None of that is happening. I haven't seen one farm where a farm worker doesn't have a good place to stay.
Listen, I can attest personally, not to every one of the thousands of farms in South Africa, but I can attest I've been on farms in Northwest. I've been on farms in KZN, in the Western Cape. And at each farm I've been at, many of the farm workers were provided housing as part of their compensation. And as you mentioned, geysers and other things like that. But let me do some quick housekeeping here very quickly. There were a couple comments. One I wanted to catch very quickly here that was, I think, a very good comment that came from Sasa Markovic, who grew up in Yugoslavia. He said farmers generally do not have support irrespective of skin color. He said he spent a few days on a farm owned by a black guy, and he's not sure how they're managing it. And I agree with him. It's pretty tough. He said that 5 nights over there was an alert every night because of violence taking place. Also, a shout out to Ronaldo Jos, who's showed up on the channel. Thank you for coming on, Ronaldo. For those who don't know it or missed it, we just had Ronaldo's stream with apparently not his father. I think Ronaldo's going to dispute it, but apparently Steve Hofmeyer is not his father. We can put that dispute to rest, at least until a DNA test is done for now. So, but just all kidding aside, folks, Ronaldo just had an epic stream. But I will say this to Ronaldo. Ronaldo was being kind of cheeky about my streams going on for a long time, and he said he was going to end it in an hour. And I finally had to give up on Ronaldo because he was still on an hour and a half later. So anyway, but welcome to the channel, Ronaldo. Folks, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Chris Wide Africa on the Daba Africa channel. I'm Chris here in Central Pennsylvania. All 3 of my guests here in the Hollywood Squares version of Zoom are in South Africa. We have below me Patrick from Farmer Aid South Africa. And to the left there is Erica, who's one of our moderators on the channel and a very talented artist, a former dairy farmer, and quite the cow lady. Very envious of my trip to Wyoming where she didn't get to be a cowgirl out there. She would have loved that. And then above her is the incredibly talented, the wonderful singer who, unfortunately, the frog got his throat, so we're not going to pressure him to sing today. But the one, the only Winston Smiles up there, who had the recent song. I always get it wrong. I always want to say Ek Blij en Boer, but I think is that correct?
Hier black. No, it's here.
Hier
Black Boer.
Okay, I always get the title wrong. I don't know why. I guess because I want to say Ek Blij en Boer. Anyway, so folks, that's who my guests are today. We're talking about Farmers Aid South Africa. Now, Winston, before I get back to Patrick and Erica, how did you get involved in this? And what are you doing? Are you helping raise funds and deliver food? What do you do?
Yeah, well, when the COVID hit, I was also in a very stressful situation because I'm a musician, and all of it just ended one shot. So I was running short of cash. I was running short of anything, and then Erica told me, "Really, let's get all of Patrick," and I got all of Patrick, and Patrick, like, we spoke, and then Patrick said, "Really, let me help you. Let us help you." And they really helped us a lot during the lockdown time. And it's just amazing to know that there's still people that actually stand together and help other people as well. And that's why I got involved with Patrick. And now I also just want to give back as well. As I start, getting more gigs and everything's more open, I'm going to start getting back with Patrick and do some shows for him as well to raise funds and to raise awareness and so forth. Also, we spoke about it a while back, and we're going to do that.
No, that's great. Listen, I should point out, folks, here, I don't know everyone's financial status, but I do know that none of you are named Rupert and not exactly sitting on piles of cash and billionaires. But I think it's important to point out that this is average South Africans helping other average South or people in desperate straits in South Africa. And that's one of the things that marks us as distinct from other species on this planet is the way we can work together, the way we can cooperate, and the way we tend to help each other and we look out for each other. So I think it's honorable what you guys are doing. It's fantastic. And Winston, I didn't realize that you got help from them. So that's wonderful. I do know that times were pretty desperate for Winston, as they were for many other performers. Joe Emilio, the pretend Egyptian, pretend South African, but really an American from Texas, comedian who's based in South Africa. Joe Emilio, he couldn't perform, and what a mess it was. And then the cancel culture went after him, and he lost his one soul-paying gig. Oh, here's a news flash, folks. I got to break this. Ronaldo Hoz says that the DNA test must be done, so he's sticking to that. I'll be sure to relay that message to Steve Hofmeyer for you there, Ronaldo. We'll make sure we get that message through. So we're not letting that go. Anyway, but no, seriously, that is one distinction about human beings, Homo sapiens, is we have this sense of charity. Not everyone, obviously. One thing, before I get back to Patrick, one thing that people always say about America, and they say Scandinavia, well, the Scandinavians are so generous because they donate 1% of their GDP to foreign assistance. Yeah, they take money out of your income, and then they decide who gets it. Whereas in America, we have the largest amount of foreign assistance on the planet, but that's a small percent of our GDP. But the reality is that Americans, as citizens, donate 10 times as much money or more to charity every year in the U.S. and around the world. And I imagine that there are a lot of South Africans who are just as generous. So, Patrick, do you find it difficult to raise funds for the charity, or because people don't know about it, or is it easy once people know about the plight?
Raising funds is always difficult, Chris. I think that's why people don't hear much about us, because we are not on the same level as most other groups that earn 100, 200. There's some groups that earn over $1 million, and we don't get it. I think the biggest donation we ever got was last year, and that was $235,000 that we used for them.
Wow. But so it's probably just a function of people not knowing about it. I can't imagine that people, if they heard about this, would not want to give if they have the means. Of course, the lockdown, I'm sure, is well, answer this, Patrick. Is it had a devastating impact on raising funds? Because a lot of people are out of work and a lot of businesses have been destroyed, courtesy of the National Coronavirus Command Council.
Yeah, in the beginning, not so much, Chris. In the beginning, we still had funds to help. And I would say on lockdown level 3 and 2, we were battling a bit to get funds in. But now it's slowly starting to come right. It's not huge funds. We're talking about 200 or 1,000 Rand coming in maybe every week or 2 weeks. So whatever we do, we raise up until we get a substantial amount. We either buy food or we buy food vouchers where people can go in a different area or a different province, and they can go and buy the food that they want. So to save cost on traveling as well. So we don't have to take too much of the funds.
Now, the Joking Atheist, which is an ironic name, but I love that username. The Joking Atheist has said, does Farmers Aid get any support whatsoever from the government, or are they just largely ignored? I think you already answered that question. You don't get any support from the government, do you?
Nothing.
No, not at all. All the support we get is from actually the good heart of people themselves. That's about it. Not even businesses, sadly. It's just individual people that donate.
Well,
I think there was one donation that came in at Erica from a handyman, Gert the handyman. Is that right, Erica?
Yeah. Today.
Yeah, he gave 500 Rand today. So I just want to say thank you to him. But that's the kind of people that donate. You know, it's not big businesses, it's not big corporate guys or nothing from the government, and I don't think they will support me either.
Well, honestly, I'm kind of a mixed person when it comes to governments giving money to non-government organizations because I worry they try to control them. My own government gives a lot of money to organizations like Catholic Relief Services. They get tons of money, billions of dollars from my government, and I sometimes wonder if that leaves them independent to do what they want to do. I've worked with them; they're fine, but I still wonder. But it's really pathetic that corporations don't get behind something like this and help. And I wish I had a way to shame corporations into contributing and helping out, because here in the U.S. They do it for a number of reasons. One, for good publicity, for goodwill, but also because it's a tax break when they give money to charities. And there's no shortage of charities in the U.S. For businesses, and no shortage of businesses that want to give. I mean, every Little League baseball team and soccer club has a sponsor, whether it's a barber shop or a bar or a restaurant or something like that. So it's really sad to hear that. Maybe we can guilt some people in South Africa into helping out. Jaco van der Merwe, Erica, good luck. Jaco van der Merwe says, Erica, Patrick and Farmers Aid and his crew do a lot for families. He says they try to support over 300 families and assist drought-stricken farmers without any government support. Does that sound right? Is it over 300 families you're able to assist at present? Is it a continuing thing, or does it shift?
Yes. What I would say, about a week ago, we had a request. Two communities close to each other, about 60 kilometers from each other. They said there was about 335 families. That's a couple of thousand people. That's roughly about 4 in a family. And to feed those whole family, let's say with a voucher of 500, you were looking at about 167,000. So the money that we got in, we bought vouchers, and we got a few of them that we could feed, but we couldn't feed all 350. Now it's gone to close to 500 of the request. Every day we get requests, 20, 30 families wanting help. So yeah, it just never stops, Chris. And I don't think it will now for a while. I think the damage has been done during the lockdown, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to take a long time for people to get back to where they were, if they're even going to get it. So yeah, they are more dependent now on charities to help them. During the lockdown, you know the whole scandal about the food parcels from the government that got missing and
stealing
stuff.
the food parcels, going into cadres' homes, selling them, hoarding them for themselves, and arresting people who are charitable and trying to help starving, especially white South Africans who are trying to help black South Africans, arresting them. It's just insane.
Well, they even tried to stop us, because if it wasn't for the farmers that donated maize and potatoes and stuff like that for us, I don't think we would have reached the families that we could reach. And they even stopped us on the roadblock, and said, we can't deliver this stuff. We got a central point in the government, and we said, there's no chance that's going to happen. I said, you can unpack it. I said, you can unpack my whole bucket into your van. I said, but you're going to repack it in an hour's time. I said,
good for you.
I'm going to phone. Yeah, I said, I've got the contact number of the captain. We even helped the police, believe it or not, Chris, that asked me for food parcels in Pretoria. And we spoke to one farmer. He slaughtered one cow. We took all that meat and we sent it down Pretoria for the policeman. And she said, listen, if you ever get stopped at the roadblock, you phone me, and then we'll sort it out. And that's exactly what I said to him. I said, by all means, unpack the bucket and unpack the trailer. I'll wait for you to finish, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to do. And he said, what's the catch? So I said, well, unpack it and I'll show you. And he never did. I said, do it and I'll phone you and I'll lay a charge. I said, but this food you're not taking. It's not going to go to any government's hand or any of that. It's going to go to the people. And we did it, and we delivered it the next day, and it didn't stop us at all.
Good for you. It's a shame that you have to do that. I mean, here in the U.S., people rarely try to stop charitable giving as long as people aren't distributing anything that's dangerous. That's rarely done. But hey, Winston, you are a person who really had to hang on there. You had to hang on by your fingernails during this lockdown. A good example of someone who couldn't work. You were denied opportunity to work. And even now, we won't get into it, but there's technically limitations on what you can do. You can, I think, can only perform before a crowd of 50. We'll leave it at that, okay? But I think that's the case. Yeah. So I mean, not to intrude too much in your personal business, Winston, but I mean, it had to suck immensely. I mean, you have a family, do you not? And was this not a huge struggle? I mean, as the provider for your family and someone who's been successful at providing in the past, suddenly you find yourself unable to simply because the government says you can't do your job. What was that like?
You know what? Let me say it this way. We are used to budgeting and we used to get everything in order. And then just one day, you get a phone call from all your shows, all your gigs, saying, sorry, we're canceling. Now you got the landlord still phoning for his rent. You got the car that you still need to pay. All that broke me completely down. Like I was actually on the verge of just saying, you know what, if South Africa, I'm out. I want to go work abroad. And then my wife said, you know what, why don't you just apply for a job? So I told her, all right, well, I'll probably apply for a job. I'm a truck driver, I'm a boat driver, and electrician. So I've got a couple other education things that I can do.
You got skills.
Yes. And so I applied for a couple jobs. One guy phoned me back and he said, Winston, for a truck driving job. He said, Winston, you've got the time that we need. You've got the licenses. You've got everything we need, but I'm not allowed to employ you. Because we were told during this state of disaster, only a certain type of people we can employ. So it doesn't matter if I have all the skills in the world, I'm not the right color. So it didn't matter. So to us, it was an absolute nightmare. It was a nightmare. I was living off tips. And now that I'm starting to get jobs in, I've got 5 months of rent that I need to catch up on. I've got water and lights that I need to catch up on. I've got my car that I need to catch up on. It's going to take me months. It's going to take me months to catch up on everything.
So let me stop you there real quick, Winston. I got to make sure, because you realize I'm in America, so I'm a little confused. This is South Africa. It is the Rainbow Nation, equality, kumbaya. Everybody gets along. I mean, that's what they told me in 1994, the April 27th, when everybody stood in long queues to vote. So I'm a little confused. So you're saying that during lockdown, the company was told they could only hire Martians or Alpha Centaurians, not South Africans. Or did I get that wrong?
Yeah. No, that's correct. That's 100% correctly. Even the one website on the government's website where you want to apply for some funding, there was an option of black, colored, or Indian, but no white option. Yeah. So the white people was excluded from anything in this country. Even me going out to go find a job, I couldn't go find a job, and that's so bad because there's a lot of people that employ black people, Indian people, colored people, businesses that didn't get any funding, that had closed the doors, which meant a lot of black people, Indian people, colored people, white people lost their jobs during this whole thing. And it's unfair. You know, if you want to work that way, don't say I don't want to go work. I want to go work, but I'm not allowed to. And it's because we're only allowed to employ a certain type of person.
That's absolutely insane. Yeah, no, I can understand your frustration. Erica, you used to be a dairy farmer, and now you're not doing that now. So what's lockdown been like for you? Is been able to help out the charity? Does that help with your soul? Does that make you feel a little bit better about what's going on and helping others? Is that useful?
Yeah, that has helped so much, but it's broken my heart so many times. I remember the one time traveling all the way down to help one family down in Port Shepstone who were eating dog food.
Oh my God.
And elderly couple who just moved from Johannesburg to start a new business, and then lockdown happened. And it's been heartbreaking, some of the stories as well.
That's so sad.
It hasn't been very relaxing at all. And yeah, I think Patrick can tell you a lot more harrowing stories. I also thought lockdown, what I'll do is I'll start painting. That's been a journey as well. That didn't come easy. I had to work through a lot of issues within myself. But that's another story. So, yeah, it's been an interesting journey. Um, um, Winston is just up the road from me. I got to know him and his family. He's got a beautiful family and lovely kids. And so there has been some benefits of reaching out to people around in my area and just helping where I can help. And yeah.
Well, before I get back to Patrick, let me do a little more housekeeping with some of the comments that have come in the chat here. So, Shack Dweller said that Winston needs a Strepsil or a neat whiskey. But I think he's got like a sort of a Strepsil spray right there. It's keeping his throat going. And somebody else said he just needs a Jack, and then he'll be singing like John Denver again. I don't know about that. Winston performed all weekend, so I think he put his heart into it, and then he left his throat on stage.
Yeah, no, I left it all. Like they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I left it all on the stage.
There you go.
It's heavy. Especially Friday night was heavy. It was, sure. But yeah, and yeah, I'm actually a recovering alcoholic. So I've been sober 8 years now. If I still drank, it would have been easy, like a
That's
Zambuca
fantastic.
and a brandy. Zambuca and a brandy that used to sort it out. But now because I don't drink, now I have to use all these little funny nozzle thingies, and it's not this. It's just not the same.
It's not the same, but trust me, you're better for it. So let's hope that's. But thanks for sharing. Congratulations on being 8 years sober, Winston. That's awesome. So Jaco van der Merwe said that he also takes his hat off to Davy Oosthuizen, that also gives Patrick and Farmers Age huge support. So I don't know who Davy Oosthuizen is, but apparently he's doing yeoman's work helping out with the charity. And then let's see, maybe Patrick can tell us about him shortly if that's not letting secrets out of the house. But Lynn said, please ask Patrick about his health. I don't know if that's because of the poison. We'll get back to that. And then, Davy Oosthuizen's actually here. Says there's a farmer from Clipperant, Northern Cape, that is very thankful tonight for every parcel Patrick sent them. Arno sends his regards, Patrick. Tell Chris the story, peanut bale delivery. All right, Patrick, with that, why don't you tell me that story about the Northern Cape, Clipperant, and what Patrick or Davy Oosthuizen is talking about there?
Well, Davy is one of those rare farmers.
Patrick, sorry, Patrick, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you here, but
No.
I haven't seen this before. I have Loving Life is on my channel. Scott Balson, is that you, my friend? Loving Life says, "Oh wow, I thought for a second this was my channel, Chris." well, if in fact that's
I'd love to have him here.
if that's in fact Scott Balson, Scott, welcome to the channel. I appreciate you having me here. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Patrick, but please continue with the Northern Cape. But that just I just happened to look over and see Loving Life, and I've never seen that come up in the chat before. Not that he hasn't been here, I just haven't seen it. Sorry, Patrick, go ahead.
No, it's fine. I'll just say hi to Scott. Been working with Scott for about almost 2 years now.
He's a star.
Really amazing things. Wonderful channel. But anyway, coming back to Davy. Davy is one of those rare farmers, Chris. Although he's struggling and he was in drought for 8 years, he will still give his last little bit to help a fellow farmer or a fellow person that's struggling. And he decided that he was going to grow peanut butter, not peanut butter, peanuts, and he's going to grow teff. And then he phoned me and he said, listen, everything is ready. They baled it. Where do I want to send it? So I said, well, aren't you going to sell it? So he says, no. He says he made a promise to God that if God gives him a good harvest, he will then bale it and he will give.
Looks like we got frozen again there.
Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick's connection is gone again there, but hopefully it'll come back in a second. If it doesn't, then wow. Yeah, no, he's got the red ants attacking his connection there, it looks like. So maybe the Joburg Metro. Well, no, he's in KZN, so it won't be the Joburg Metro Police. I guess it'll be the Durban, although I can't really pronounce the current name of Durban, so I'll stick with Durban. Anyway.
Ekurhuleni.
Oh, that's right.
Ekurhuleni.
That's right. It's
Ekurhuleni.
Ekurhuleni. That's right. I remember
There
that.
we
Yeah.
go.
I just can never remember it. I get too busy thinking about Zandile Gumede and her effort to become a member of parliament in the provincial legislature there. So I get stuck on that. But looks like Patrick's out for the second, so we'll get him back here in just a moment. But listen, Erica, this is something I think people need to know about. So I'm glad that you brought it to my attention a while back and that we've mentioned it on the channel. And I don't know that I've really helped by putting the poster up there, but hopefully it does help draw people's attention to it. And hopefully this stream will do it as well, getting people. There he is. Patrick's back.
Hi, Chris. Sorry, man. Sorry.
No, it's all right. We understand that the Red Ants have relocated from Johannesburg and they're down there tapping into your cable line. That's what the problem is.
Most probably, yeah. Who cares? Yeah, anyway, so David grew he grew teff and he cut, and I said, why are you selling it? He says, no, he's going to give it to the fellow farmers. He wants to donate everything to Farmers Aid, and I must decide where it goes to. And Arno, he got his truckload of feed, and Sybil from Sutherland got hers. And we sent one to Pearson's Hunt as well, to farmers there that were struggling. So, and that was a donation of almost 300,000 Rand if he had to sell it. That he's given, and that's the type of person Darby is. You know, he's one fantastic farmer. Yeah, I always say the Free State farmers have a special place in my heart. They're just so different to the other farmers in South Africa. There's just something different about them. You know, it's salt of the earth, if you can put it like that, Chris. You won't get better.
Well, I'll have to admit to you that I have a special place in my heart for it too, because I think they're all crazy as anything to farm in the Free State. There's no damn water, and there's nothing there. I mean, you look for miles. The next thing you see is either the ocean or the Drakensberg. There's nothing there. It's like a tabletop. At least in Northwest, there's a bit of rolling hills and creeks and such. And even in the Karoo, you've got some topography. But I mean, the Free State is like, it's like Kansas. I can't farm in Kansas. When I was a farmer, it was in Southeast Ohio. We had hills. I need hills and creeks and streams and livestock and wildlife. But man, the Free State, you got to give it up to people like that. They really, truly are dedicated to farming. If they live in the Free State, it's tough. The KZN, I think, that's why they're so special. You said, Patrick?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No doubt about that. In fact, when I had Renee Kruger on the program, the Boermeisie, who defends Afrikaans culture, she was actually at her boyfriend's parents' farm in the Free State. We gave it an undisclosed location because, you know, trolls like to mess around. But she was in the Free State, and it was quite lovely there. But I was looking in the background going, aside from the trees around the house, I don't see much of anything else. But anyway, that's the Free State. So let me ask a practical question of you there really quickly, Patrick, if it's all right.
Yeah, sure.
So how does this work? I mean, okay, I don't have anything to do with your charity, so I'm guessing that you have the bank account numbers. People can donate money. They can obviously also donate in-kind things, as you mentioned, agricultural goods you can take as well. But do you have warehouses, or do you have organized teams, or is it like you and 2 or 3 other people that help out when they can?
Well, I've got a team up in Johannesburg, and then I've got Darby up in the Free State area. So if there's donations coming in for the agriculture for the drought, then I speak to Darby once we got the amount together, and I said, Darby, listen, this is how much we've got, how much feed can we buy, how much maize can we get, and then he goes and purchases or organizes with the rest of the farmers, and we take it to the different other areas. If it's humanitarian side, if they want to do with the squatter camps, I've got a team up in Johannesburg. I've got Erica down in the South Coast. I'm doing the Midlands area, and I've got Shane who's doing Maritzburg and Howick and those kind of areas. So it depends on where the need is. But I travel to all the different areas.
It does sound like, though, that you kind of operate like on a shoestring, though. It's not a massive organization.
No, it's not. It's not at all. We've been working on the shoestring since we started, and I think that's our second name. But we get the job done. You know, how we get it done, only God will know. But we get the job done, and we feed families that really need. Oh.
Well, let me ask this. My next trip, because I'm planning a couple trips to South Africa, assuming that the ANC allows air traffic to come again. I mean, this having 72 hours, having a negative test, that's nonsense. I can get that from a Nigerian and fake that in 5 minutes. So, but
Yeah.
assuming there's actual genuine air travel into South Africa in the next year, I do plan on going there a couple times. If I'm in the country, would it be possible for me to come by, help out, maybe help you guys raise a little bit of money, deliver some food, that sort of thing? I'd love to do it.
That'll be fantastic. I will take you around. I'll take you to the white squatter camps. I'll take you to farms. I'll take you to the RV in the Free State, and you can see for yourself what work we do and meet the people, and you'll see. I've taken one guy last year, quite a big size man, and he said he wanted to go to the camps to see for himself. And I said, listen, not everybody when they go there come out the same as what they go in.
Yeah.
And he said, no, he'll handle it. And to this day, still, he still cries.
I was going to say he was in tears, wasn't he?
He was. He said that he couldn't. That night he couldn't take a shower. That night he couldn't eat his food. He says because that images of what he saw, he says haunted him until to this day, and that's a year later. So it does affect. That's why we don't really take people that cannot handle it. But if you can handle it, I'll take you, and I'll show you. And it'll be shocking if you see it. It's not a sight that you want to see. People in that state.
No, I do appreciate that. Of course, I've lived all over Africa and I've seen abject poverty. I remember I was in Pretoria one time, and a colleague of mine who was from Africa was down there. We were riding into Pretoria. And my colleague, who's a black African from elsewhere in Africa, was like, "Those are white people begging for money? What? White people don't beg for money. What is this? Did you pay somebody to do that?" I'm like, "No, dude. That's this is Pretoria. And times have changed, and poor people isn't based on your skin pigmentation. It's based on your circumstances, particularly when a government discriminates against you based on the color of your skin. This is the outcome. So it's kind of sad. But yeah, no, I've definitely seen those sorts of things. But I'm kind of an emotional person, so I'm sure that I will walk away in tears and try to hold them back, because you don't want to cry in front of the people that you're trying to help. But it can be, I imagine, quite an emotional thing to see how people are suffering needlessly. That's a really sad part about it, needlessly. Yeah. So
that's where Winston comes in to bring in a bit of joy with his singing.
Oh, is that okay? So are you doing that, Winston? Do you go to these events and sing at them? I didn't realize that.
No, not yet.
No, there's a lot planned. Not yet, but there's a lot planned. Me and Patrick we've got some planning later on. Yeah.
All right. Well, that'd be awesome. I mean, I'm sure people appreciate that. Pretty cool. So, Patrick, let's see. You've been doing this for 6 years now. Do you have a day job? Is this something you do on the side, or have you put yourself all into this thing?
We started as a part-time job, but then it kind of grew that we couldn't do it part-time anymore. We had to do it full-time. And then I left the music business totally, and just focused on this, and it still keeps me busy. So it makes me a little bit more grayer than the music industry, but we still carry on.
Well, Patrick, as I've been told, the gray makes you look distinguished.
Exactly. Yeah.
You guys are bad.
But here's the thing, Patrick. Here's the thing. Listen, my friend. You look like you're still doing pretty well. I know I'm doing pretty well. This is good DNA here. This stuff is thick and luxurious, and I don't care if it comes in. Yeah, sorry, Winston. Sorry about that, man. But as long as it comes in, it could be purple. I don't care as long as it's there. But so that's all that matters is it's there. Because listen, folks, I've been bald. It's not a pretty sight. I went to basic training. They shaved my head off, and I'm like, ooh, that is not a pretty sight. Let's try to avoid that ever happening again. But Patrick, there's a really good question that came in here that I want to bring up. It's a good one from Kilometers Per Hour, which is actually the letters for the person's name, but I always say Kilometers Per Hour. It says, do you accept clothing, household goods, and et cetera for your outreach program? I don't know if you're equipped to do that or if you do that, but do you do that?
Yes, no, we do. I'm actually sitting with a whole trailer full of clothing. Some of it are brand new, from adults to kids to baby stuff. No, we do. If people have any of those things, we collect it and we send it to the camps. So clothing and that stuff we always use. It's never a thing that we can have enough of. So yeah, so but the clothing and stuff that we get, I must say we're very lucky. The clothes, some of the clothes are brand new shoes, and stuff that we give to kids, especially the babies, and stuff. We send a lot of clothes down to Sutherland, to the farming community, and they sell it and raise funds so that they can buy feed and stuff. So it's quite a big network of things that we do. It's job creation within the farming community as well.
Now, I'm going to say this. Listen, I think that donating shoes for children, if they're Afrikaners, is quite a waste. I mean, Afrikaner kids don't wear shoes. They just run around barefoot till they're teenagers.
Maybe years ago, Chris, but now these days, I mean, I'll tell you a story. We went down to Pearson's Hunt,
Yes.
and wonderful family that we stayed with, and their kids, like you said, they just walk on the sand, and it's boiling. That sand there is boiling hot, and they walk with it, and there's scorpions, and so we gave a lot of clothing, and in those clothing were 2 sets of pluckies, Durban pluckies. They didn't know what the hell it was. They looked at it, they didn't know how to put it on, and so he phoned me the next day when we left, and he says he eventually got the kids to actually put it on, and he says they didn't want to take it off. He even slept with his pluckies under his pillow. And he says now they can't get them out of the pluckies. Before they were just running around. And that's the appreciation that they have for receiving. And they poor farmers. I mean, really poor farmers.
No, I mentioned the shoe thing because I go to Waterfalls Mall in Rustenburg, and I'd walk around and I'd see these Afrikaners, and the kids are walking around in those shoes, and I'm like, shame, poor things. Parents must not have any money for shoes. And then I walk out to the parking lot, and they're climbing in a truck that's twice the size of mine. It's got a massive engine in it. And they go over to McDonald's and spend like 400 Rand buying burgers and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I don't feel so bad for them. It must be a cultural thing that these kids don't wear shoes. No, I'm just kidding. But it's I couldn't resist that because, Borkis don't wear shoes. They just don't. They don't. They don't. But let me see. There was... Lynn is asking if I can do bids on Erica's painting. I'm not really set up to do that like Scott Balson. I wouldn't even know how to do that. I don't know if we want to do that. Maybe if Erica wants to do that at some point, we could try that on the channel, but I've never done it. Maybe I could ask Scott for advice, but we'd have to have somebody in South Africa that you could transfer the money to an account, because if it comes here and it gets translated into dollars, back into Rand, and I send it through PayPal, they all take money and half of it goes away. So if you guys want to do that, we can consider that at a later time. I've never thought about doing it. To me, that was kind of Scott Balson's thing. I didn't want to intrude in his territory, so I don't want to do that. But if people would like to do it, we can consider it. But there was another comment from Davi Oosthuis in here. He says, oh, shoot, this one's in Afrikaans. I got to sit for a second and focus on it. Jaco, dink nie...
I love your Afrikaans.
Dink nie... He gaan dit mag die Cherokee sees kan net fun very low flying. Okay, does he have a Cherokee plane? Is that what that's about? Flying very low?
Yeah. that's classic.
Anyway.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yikes. Anyway, so Tony Nagin says now Tony's an interesting situation, folks. Tony is a ethnic Hungarian whose family fled after what happened in '56, wound up in South Africa. Now he's in Canada. And Tony says, I had shorts and a T-shirt for school uniform. That's it for school. See, no shoes, and not even an Afrikaner, but grew up in South Africa. Anyway, so there's a lot of comments coming in the chat right now. Mara Faris says, Chris, we had school uniform but no shoes and still we went to see till they went to high school. But anyway, but seriously, no, folks, if you are able to donate stuff, it sounds like the Farmers Aid South Africa or Farmer Aid South Africa can in fact accommodate that sort of thing and take it. So thanks for that. So Tony, or not Tony, Tony Nagy's in the chat. Patrick, let me ask this question. I'm going to guess I know the answer, but let me ask it anyway. I'm imagining that while it may be heartbreaking and challenging and frustrating, that it must be incredibly rewarding for you to be able to do this to help others, and so much so that you've taken on as a full-time gig.
No, it is. It's very rewarding, Chris. I always say it's the most hardest job to do because you deal with people's emotions and you see things that you don't really want to see. But at the end of the day, I sleep quite well at night. I know that I've helped a family that doesn't have food, or a family or kids who don't have clothing. So yeah, for me that's rewarding. and that's why I do it. You know, I love my people, and that's why I do it, and that's why I take all these things that come against me, and I'll just take it, and because the people are worth it. You know, those kids are worth it. If I don't do it, who's going to help them?
Well, it sounds like nobody. That's unfortunate, but that's brilliant. Hendo says Calfoot clunkies. But when I start thinking about bare feet, I'll start thinking about Kurt Darren and Calfoot Silky. So we'll just start dancing Calfoot Silky. Anyway, I love that song, and it just shows the Afrikaner distaste for footwear. I always thought it was because they couldn't afford shoes when they're fighting the Khakis in the Boer War. You know, I just. But anyway, I thought that's where it came from. So, Winston, what do you think of my take on Afrikaner kids and shoes? Am I off the mark there?
No. You're quite on the mark. You know, nothing. This might sound disgusting or whatever, but nothing is better than a cold morning with no shoes in fresh cow shit.
That Winston, listen, I'll give it to you. You're correct. That does sound disgusting. I'll leave it at that.
But it's nice. If you the cold mornings, it is absolutely nice to stand on fresh cow shit. It is. Sorry, it is nice.
Okay, this is definitely not the direction I thought that this stream was going to go. But Doc Meyer just did a super chat. And said, "Chris, thanks for the nice stream. We need to support farmers more." Well, I agree. Definitely in South Africa for a lot of reasons. I've been focused on the violence in South Africa for a few decades, and now that I'm retired from active service, I can actually share my voice. I've been focused on the violence in South Africa, but I haven't really talked about the economic realities of it. So I'm really glad that you guys have come on to talk about that today. It's important. Oh, we lost Eric. It looks like her stream got bad there. But I'm glad we're talking about the economic realities about there. So, Patrick, what do you think now? I mean, do you have a desire to make the charity larger? It sounds like there's an ever-growing need and that you may need to make it larger. Is that something you'd like to do, or are you just taking it as it comes?
No, we want to grow it bigger, and we want to reach out more to more provinces, more farmers. But unfortunately, funding is what holds everything back. Sad to say, I don't like talking about money and funds and stuff, but unfortunately, you cannot run this thing without funds. And the drought side with the farmers, unfortunately, has run to a dead end with the COVID. That's not happening. So we only got the humanitarian side happening. Because the drought and the farmers thing is a huge project, and it's a lot of money. You know, you've got to send 6 or 7 or sometimes 12 trucks down to a community to feed them. And, you know, the truck will cost you anything between 20 to 25,000 to 30,000 rand on diesel alone. So you can work out the cost of it. That's a huge undertaking, and it's a huge amount of funds to help the farmers. But once if God opens up doors and something happens, then we'll jump into it again and do it. But on the humanitarian side, especially with the lockdown, the increases of poverty and help that needed has grown by 1,000%.
Wow,
it's there's not a morning that I wake up that I don't have emails saying, "Can you help me? Can you help me?"
That's just, I don't want to say it's crazy. Sadly, I'm going to say it's not surprising, but because of lockdown. But it sounds like this was a problem you were dealing with long before lockdown, and it's a problem that has nothing to do with lockdown. It's just been exacerbated by lockdown. Is that fair?
Exactly.
Okay.
It is. It's just gone way bigger. But we want to expand. We want to make it as big as possible.
All right. Well, that's good to hear. So, folks, if you're able to help out, keep that in mind. But Gert Janssen van Rensburg says, I used to call it my Vrystaat plakkies. Apparently, we're getting a lot of mileage out of this barefoot thing. So, and then Jeanette says, healthy feed. I don't know about you, Jeanette, but I'm not hanging out with gals that stand in cow manure every morning. That's just that's not my kind. That's not my kind of fetish. I'm just.
That is a Vrystaat plakkie. That is a Vrystaat plakkie. If you put your feet in cow shit, that's a Vrystaat plakkie.
Yes. Once again, another reason why I don't farm in the Free State.
As Patrick said, They are a special breed.
Well, but the good news is there's good people in the Freistaat. You've got Basutu, you've got Afrikaners, you've got Setswana speakers. You've got some really good people in the Freistaat. But these Freistaat plakkies are not exactly something I'm all that interested in. So we'll leave it at that. So Patrick, did you have any idea that this would be the direction this stream went? I mean, we've kind of gone off astray there. Oh, is he frozen again? All right. Looks like Winston's the only one with a decent connection there. That's because we lost Eric even there for a little bit there. Davi mentioned that Winston has a new song that hits home. Will Winston be able to sing that song for us? No, we're not going to ask Winston to sing. His throat's kind of raw. Are they talking about the Boer song? Is that the one I think they might be talking about?
Hier Black Boer, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. Hier Black Boer. I got it right that time. I had to hear you say it though. So Patrick's back. No, Patrick, I was saying, did you expect that the stream would take this kind of turn into this Freistaat Plakkies discussion? That was kind of a surprise to me.
Not at all, Chris. Not at all. Thanks, Winston, for that one.
Yeah.
When you're down here, Chris, we'll skip the Freistaat Plakkie one.
Okay, I was going to say.
I want to see that.
No, I was going to say if that became part of the agenda, I'll be busy with Ushti Dritten on their concert tour and not have time.
No, we'll skip that one, Chris.
Hey, listen, he can't.
We'll see, Chris. No, okay.
He can't speak for himself, but it sounds like Davi Oosthuizen is quite an interesting fellow. I don't know if he's interested in a public appearance, but I'll extend an invitation right here live on the air now to Davi to come on my program sometime in the near future if you'd like to talk about farming. Because as you guys know, I bring farmers on all the time, every chance I get. I brought Evans Larrabee from Ghana, a small-scale commercial farmer, up there on a few times. I've had Herman Roos on the program, who's a tobacco farmer in Northwest, and so I'd be happy to bring Davi on if he's interested in it. So I just extend that right now. I know you guys can't speak for him, but he is in the chat. Davi, if you're interested, the invitation's out there. We can chat sometime. Just let me know. Anyway, so X Factor says, is it still Farmers Aid SA? Lost the address. Yeah. So what is the you have a website, a Facebook page? Tell us about that, Patrick.
We do have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter. Twitter is at Relief 2020. There they can find out exactly where the funds are going, what is being used for. There's photos and videos of the drought and the humanitarian side. Facebook, there's two pages. The one is about 14 or 15,000 members. The other one's about 5,000 members. And we're still getting a lot of members that want to join. So yeah, they can go and look there. Everything is there for them to see.
But you
don't have,
you don't have a freestanding website then?
We do, but I just don't have the time to update it all the time. So it's a little bit outdated. Okay. So yeah, I haven't worked much on the web page, to be totally honest. I work more on Twitter and Facebook. We get a lot of more reactions using Facebook and Twitter than what we do with a website. And I think that's why the website has taken a little bit of a back stance.
No, that makes sense. And I suppose if you're trying to concentrate funds on the good you're doing, paying for websites is counterproductive when you can rely on Facebook, which seems to draw the crowds. You mentioned Twitter too, so that's good to hear as well. Do you get a lot of positive feedback on your Facebook page?
We do. We get a lot of critics as well that will criticize us for what we do, but that's part and parcel of what we do. So, but yeah, it's a licorice all sorts type of thing, So we enjoy it. If you can criticize, I don't mind you criticizing. All I say is, if you do what I do or you do better than I do, put it there and then criticize afterwards. But if you don't do what I do, then don't criticize.
Well, there's sadly, as I've discovered, regardless of what you have to say, positive or negative, there are always trolls out there that just want to come after you. There's a dislike on this video. What the hell is wrong with people that want to dislike this video? I mean, what is? Do you have a mental deficiency that you dislike this video? I mean, seriously. I mean, we're not talking about running in the woods and murdering horses or or doing something like that. We're talking about helping people out. What's wrong with helping people out? Something wrong with somebody anyway. You need some mental. Oh, now we got two. Somebody's playing games. But see, here's a little secret, guys. Here's a little secret. I don't mind the dislikes because it's not likes or dislikes. It's the number of times someone pushes the thumb that it gets the video promoted. So they can put all the dislikes they want up there, and people will see this. But Hendo just gave a super sticker, and he's giving a little pump up. Keep it up. Keep it up. £5 super chat. Thank you so much for that, Hendo. I appreciate that. So we're up to 83 likes with 102 people currently watching the program. Listen, I'm gonna channel my inner Ronaldo host here real quick. Let me summon it up real quick. Okay, listen, folks, there's 102 people watching the channel right now. 83 likes. Come on. Can we do better than that? I'll get Carter if I have to. I'll get Carter. Come on, let's get the likes up to 100. Anyway, sorry. Erica gets that because she watches Ronaldo, so she understands that. But so, Winston, let me ask you this. You mentioned that maybe something's happening in the future. Maybe you'll do some performance or something to help out here, or I don't know, maybe when they take things out. Is Winston frozen? Looks like he's frozen now. Now we've lost him. Are you there, Winston? Or were you sleeping?
Winston.
Dude, were you asleep or was your thing locked?
Sorry, yes. No, I'm still here. I'm still here.
Winston was asleep.
I'm still here.
He was asleep.
No.
No, I'm just.
That's a classic.
That was classic. Winston.
My eyes closed.
Well, that would explain why my viewership has been dropping because I'm boring, apparently. No, but seriously.
No.
I
was like,
just kidding.
checking my phone quickly. What's happening?
No, but
there?
Winston, seriously, in the future, if maybe you do something with Farmer Aid South Africa, maybe performing or trying to draw audiences, or even when things are taken out, is that something you look forward to? I mean, it sounds like that'd be very rewarding.
Yeah, it's a big project, you know, and I really want to put all my attention and focus on that as well, because we need some positive attention to these situations as well. So it will be an absolute, it will be a necessity for me to go out and do as much of these shows as I can, just to bring that little bit of a positive feed to a bad situation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, no, I do know what you mean. You know, listen, that stuff's infectious, folks. If you were at a place where people are kind of sad and someone's upbeat and they bring something that, especially music, it really warms people's hearts. So, no, thanks a lot for that, Winston. I think that'll be great for the charity if you guys get around to getting that done. That'd be awesome. So, Erica, let me ask you this, because we've been over a little hour here. I don't want to take everybody's time. It is late on a Sunday night.
Okay, I'm fine.
Now, Erica will be here till midnight. She doesn't mind, but I'm sure that Patrick's got some other things to do, and maybe Winston's got to rest his voice. But Erica, let's see. So you're kind of like the coordinator for the Durban area for this, right? You organize these things and help collect donations and organize delivery of food. Is that correct, or did I get that wrong?
Well, yeah, there are other people in Durban as well, but I help Patrick where I can, not just here. I've even helped when I was in Johannesburg in July. I went for a course, like a gap course, to qualify as a medical and dental hypnotherapist. And I went and helped the family there. She was pregnant. She was 6 months pregnant, and because of the lockdown, her husband had to close shop, and she was battling with the pregnancy. She was in danger, her life, and so was her baby, because she was very, very stressed. And I just I went in and did therapy with her, and I phoned Patrick and I said, Patrick, look, when I arrived there's not going to be any food in that house. So we helped her with food, and she gave birth yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So yes, and the thing is, what happened before, she lost a baby before. She went to a government hospital and they neglected her completely, and it was a breech baby. She was put in a side ward. She had to deliver the baby herself, and the baby died. So that added to the complication of the pregnancy.
Sure.
So it was a beautiful way for Patrick and I to work together. I was able to help her, with my therapy, and then help her with the Farmers Aid donation. And as I said, beautiful, big, 4.465 kilo baby was born.
Good Lord, that's a horse.
It was a horse.
Wow. But she's relieved. That's a bit of a load to go. Well, congratulations on the baby.
I
there.
don't know how she did it.
I don't either, and I'm not interested in trying that myself. So, thank goodness for genetics and DNA. I don't have to worry about that. But thanks for that, Erica. Listen, Winston, Linda Myers says, Winston, how ons klomp by Hope House? Okay. So I just thought I'd share that with you because you don't see the chat. And then Patrick, very quickly,
Yes.
Davi Oosthuizen said, Chris, I speak English very deliciously. The fact that you said it that way is curious. We'll do it later on with Patrick at my side to calm me down at stages. So I take it that he wants moral support if he's going to come on the channel. So we'll discuss that for a future date. But why don't we go ahead and wrap up, folks, here for the evening? Let me go around the horn. I'll start with Erica, then I'll do Winston, and then I'll come back to Patrick for closing remarks. So, Erica, anything you'd like to leave us with tonight?
I just want to encourage people to help in the area where they see these help, or if they don't see, to support people like Farmers Aid, where we know where the need is. It took me a while to find a group. It took me a while to find Patrick, and I know how he operates, and I trust him 100%. So give of yourself, and it does come back to you in one way or the other. So yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks a lot, Erica. Winston, any final comments before we wrap up here?
Yeah, just I just want to say to the people out there, like Hope House, it's my friends of mine, family of mine stay there. It's a place down on the South Coast also that's supporting people and helping people just to get back on their feet as well. So that's a project that I will be working on along with Erica as well. I want to say, you know what, it's not every day that people get pushed around and left on the ground because of that's what they wanted to do. That's where they wanted to end up. Sometimes life pushes people down. So never judge a person that's homeless, or never judge a person that is battling, because you know what, you can live a perfect life and something can happen tomorrow and you end up there. It's not about, oh, he's homeless, so he wanted to be there, or he doesn't have a job, he doesn't want to have a job, or he's wandering in the streets, you know what, he doesn't want to go anywhere. Some of the people, I know some good people that are absolutely qualified and good at what they do, but life just knocked them so bad, they just don't want to go back to it. I know a lawyer that did hard cases, like very bad cases of child abuse and child murders and so forth. He was involved in those cases. Now, with the years of working, that mentally it knocked him out. He couldn't go back to work, which ended him up having a very low income life. Highly qualified, but he doesn't want to go back to that kind of work. So we never have to judge people that are in that position. Instead of judging, we should help. And with that, I want to say thank you to you, Chris. I want to say also thank you to Loving Life, to Scott as well, and Erica and Farmers Aid. You know what? All those people help other people to get back on track. And just a special thanks to every one of you guys. It's absolutely special for you. For me, you guys are absolute stars.
Winston, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Listen, Winston and Eric, I got to share this with you here right now. This is a first, and this is proof that this is a channel that brings people together. Did you notice that Ronaldo Hose and Scott Balson were both on this channel simultaneously? Can you believe that? We caught them. They were both here simultaneously. I have the evidentiary proof of it. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
You
All
are
right.
stirring.
That's right. Hang on. Here's the pot.
But that's wonderful.
Here's the pot.
That's
Just
wonderful.
stir in the pot. Anyway, Winston, thanks for the great comments.
It's beautiful.
It was beautiful.
That is beautiful. I'm really proud of the guys. I'm proud of all you guys walking over those bridges to each other.
Excellent. All right, Patrick, it's down to you, and then I'll have you guys step out, and I'll do the final comments on the stream. So please share with us any thoughts you'd like, or anything folks can do. And no, we're not going to discuss Freistaat Plakkies at this point.
No. First of all, Chris, I want to thank you so much for allowing me to come onto your show. It was really great. It was really great meeting you. And for Erica and Winston for joining us as well. I know that Winston spoke about that down at South Coast, that camp. I spoke to Erica today. We're actually going to do a whole big thing down there in the next few weeks. We've got quite a big donation of food and stuff that we're going to pick up this week, and then we're going to start distributing down the South Coast and the North Coast, and
That's fantastic.
that food is going to go up to Johannesburg as well, the camp. So that's a project that's happening in the next few weeks. And then, like Winston said, thanks to Scott as well for his support, and he's been great. And yeah, it's just, as like Winston said, you will never know the suffering somebody else go unless you've walked in his shoes. And you've got to humble yourself, because we are only by God's grace that we're not in one of those camps or sitting on the street. So yeah, never look down at a poor person. Help him if you can.
No, I think that's great. Oh gosh, I think Patrick froze there. If he did, I think those are great comments. At least he got that last comment out. I think that's an important point to make, is that all of us are just one misfortune from finding ourselves in a bad situation. Maybe not destitution, maybe destitution, but it just takes a death in the family. It takes cancer that drains our resources. It takes someone robbing us. It takes misfortune and stuff. Everyone is vulnerable, and when people look at those who are poor with disdain, they should look in the mirror and remember that might be you at some point in life. So I think those are great comments, Patrick. I do appreciate that. It's great. I have disdain for lazy people, but not for people who fall in misfortune. I think there's a distinction there, and that's an important distinction to make. Lazy is one thing. Having been a farmer, I have no time for lazy people. You can't be lazy on a farm. Anyway, so all right, folks. All right, so I want to thank everybody. I'm going to put you all in the waiting room. If you want to hang for a couple minutes after I close out just to tidy up, you can. But if you have to go, that's fine. So thank you. I'm going to put you one by one in the waiting room. So Erica, thanks to you. And she's off to the waiting room. Bye, Erica.
Bye.
All right, then we're going to send Winston off to the waiting room. Winston, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Take care. All right, he's out of there. All right, so Patrick, I'm going to put you in the waiting room. Thank you so much. It was indeed a pleasure to meet you and chat with you today. I think what you're doing is wonderful, and I wish you only the best of success, and hopefully we can contribute some way to help spread the word and maybe help you get some resources to do the wonderful work that you're doing. So thanks a lot. I'm going to put you in the waiting room, okay? All right.
Thank you.
All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Chris White Africa on the Indaba Africa channel. Today we're talked about Farmer Aid South Africa, a nonprofit organization to help white South Africans who are living in poverty with food assistance, clothing assistance, and things like that. If you're able to help, please feel free to do that. I'll put this up on the screen again as I close out very quickly. This is the, let me slide over here so you can still see me. There's the banner, Farmers Aid South Africa. You see 3 contact numbers for Patrick, who was on the program here, the founder of the organization, Erica, who's in Durban, and then Cole, who's up in Johannesburg, North Bryanston, and also bank details for FMB and such. I do periodically put this up on the stream, so you'll see it come up again. But I want to thank you guys so much for participating in the chat today. I really enjoyed it. It was wonderful. You guys were great guests. And again, I didn't think we were going to take the turn talking about the Vrystaat Plakkies, but that was interesting. Anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. God bless. I will be working this week teaching folks here in the States, but distance. I'll still do my noontime show, the Stray Voltage. I don't have any guests booked until later in the week. We have Flock Silliers on the program this coming Friday. Springbok number 637, the current kicking coach for the French national side. But we can forgive him for that. A lot of rugby players go to France to make a living. But former Springbok Flock Silliers will be on the program this Friday, so tune in for that. And, of course, famously, a couple weeks ago, I had Springbok number 636. That's right here. Andre Sneeman was on the channel, so this is my second Springbok. So there you go, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Let me go ahead and take off the Farmers Aid banner there very quickly. Thank you so much for your patronage. Thank you for the super chats, for the new subscriptions, for the memberships to the channel. It's really appreciated. I'm glad to get back into swing. We had a good stream today. Thank you so much for that earlier stream, also for this one. God bless and have a good evening. And if you can help, folks, why not? Be charitable, help those in need. It never is a bad thing to help those in need, particularly those who fall on desperate times because of no fault of their own. So thank you so much, folks, for tuning in. I'm going to close out here now, and thank you so much for following the channel. I just got to get down to find my window here. There it is right there. All right. God bless and have a good night, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Cheers.